I am back with Bob Hodge, Jimmy Himes, Marlon Walls. I want to talk about X factors and who or what. You can give me a person, you can give me an area of the game that you think is going to be key. But Jimmy, I want to start with you because you did some research and you put this together on the Sports Animals website, put it in your blog, and you sent these things to me. I thought, well, let's just let Jimmy go here. Your X factor for Tennessee's offense.
Well, one of the concerns, what I looked at, and I just took the Power 5, the 9 Power 5 opponents, and I thought, what stops a touchdown drive? Not a field goal, a touchdown drive. So there were 104 possessions in these 9 games. 22% of the time, their touchdown drives were stopped by penalties or sacks. Wow. Penalties or sacks, 22% of them.
Can't get off schedule.
Right. There were 10 others that were stopped by Tennessee failing on 4th down. But I thought that was a lot. You got to stay away from the penalties and you got to stay away from the sacks if you want to have a touchdown drive. Now, some of these you ended up kicking a field goal because you had a penalty or a sack. So I thought that was a pretty high number.
I find that fascinating because, again, you think it's a little like the fact when they fall behind 11, they don't come back. You would think with the speed they play, that wouldn't be an issue. You would think with them being such a deep ball offense that it's 2nd and 25. What do we care? We'll air it out. The fact that has been such a problem for them is interesting. We got some numbers here. Let's take a look at the sacks. Tennessee, 27 sacks on the year for their defense. Clemson allowed 24. Say both right there, very similar. But boy, there is a difference there at the bottom numbers. Clemson had 40 sacks on the season. That is number 6 in the country. Tennessee, 23 allowed, number 54. So that doesn't bode well. Now, again, they're going to be without 2 of their NFL draft picks in the front 7, so that may help you out. Take a look at the next graphic, penalties, and this will be the last one. I'll tell my director, Ryan, that we'll hold off on this one and come back to the group. But in terms of penalties, you see you're number 121 in the nation out of, 125, 130 schools, so that's not good. Averaging 8 penalties a game, 66 points. 66 yards per game in penalties. Clemson much better than Tennessee on that front. But if we're talking about Jimmy's X factor, those numbers don't point to a happy X factor in Tennessee's favor, I don't think.
No, they don't. You got to protect the quarterback, and then Milton's got to be smart about not getting sacked. And I'll say this, Hooker did not have the propensity to throw the ball away, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to make a play because he's such a good runner. I wonder if Milton in those circumstances will just, hey, I'm chucking it out of bounds. I'm not going to take a sack because he's not.
Or run it out of bounds. Sorry.
Not advisable in certain situations. But I
couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that on a Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Milton might be more prone to throwing it away rather than scrambling. So, but he needs to avoid the sack.
Marlon, what do you got for an X factor?
X factor, I was going to go with Squirrel White. I think this offense is a different type of offense, or the offense is what they want it to be. When you have a deep shot guy, Hyatt not being there, is it Squirrel White's time to step up and take over that position? But I'm gonna switch it up and go. I'm gonna go with Jabari Small. I think if your run game, if based off what Justin broke down with their defense and where they're going to challenge this.
Justin and I.
Yeah. My bad. I got to give you some credit there.
Oh yeah. I can hold a board.
Yeah. I think if they're going to play us with 5 men in the box. And challenge us to run the football. If we have a good day running the football, you saw versus Vanderbilt, I think you saw most of this season, when our run game is on schedule, our offense looks completely different. So I go X factor, Jabari Small, big game.
That's a good one. I was going to go running backs, but I think that's – and it's hard to say running backs are an X factor, but because it's such a big part of the game. But I agree with you. I think you take the pressure off Joe Milton. Yeah. You take what more than likely Clemson's going to give you. If it's a big day for the running backs, I think it will be a big day for the Vols offense. Bob Hodge, X factors.
Which all plays into my X factor, which like you, how big of an X factor can your offensive line be? Well, without the 2 guys that Clemson's going to be missing, Tennessee's offensive line was pretty good this year. The 23 sacks, as many dropbacks as Tennessee had in 12 games, they only gave up 23 sacks. I thought that number would be quite a bit higher. So I think if Tennessee, if their offensive line can take advantage of potentially lesser guys, if they play the defense like Justin drew up and yourself, then I think that plays into what Marlon said. And then your running game becomes bigger. So I'm going to think if Tennessee's offensive line at the end of the day has had a good day, Tennessee wins the football game.
All right. I have a couple more that we'll run through, and we'll see if this spurs any more conversation. Let's take a look at the turnovers. Here's one that works in Tennessee's favor in terms of a potential X factor. There we go. Tennessee with 20 takeaways on the year, only 11 giveaways. They were +9. Clemson only +1. Okay. And when you've got a bowl game that's kind of a preseason game with a bunch of new folks out there, if you can win the turnover battle, that'd be a positive. Here's another one that I'm going to throw out here. Extra points. Tennessee missed 3 this year. Almost cost you against Alabama. You had to get a 2-point conversion there. Clemson hasn't missed one all year. Now, granted, you've scored a third more than they did, 75 to 50 basically. But that's one to watch. I mean, they haven't missed one. You missed 3. I'm just throwing that out there as a potential X factor. And here's another one that has been a problem all year. Clemson not great. They're 62nd in the nation in terms of their net punting, but look at Tennessee, 37.7.
Still twice as good as you are.
Yeah, 124th. So the punting could be a big one in this one as well. Anything else pop out to you guys?
I would say X factor, Clemson's quarterback. If he can step into this role and the offense for Clemson looks a little bit different, which is the reason why they made the change to him, I think that hurts Tennessee. I think that's a huge X factor.
Let me ask you this, and everybody can chime in here very quickly, but if you are Tim Banks and you're looking at this new quarterback making his first start, do you look at it and say, let's go after him and try and rattle him? Or are you sitting there saying, our secondary is such a liability. I don't know that we can bring the heat like that. What do you do? Do you try and rattle our quarterback by bringing the heat? It's a bowl
Yes.
game. It's an exhibition.
Yeah,
Yes,
I do too.
you bring the heat.
I'm going to try to make him make some quick decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring the heat, and I'm going to probably get burned
Get
a
burned.
couple times.
Yep.
But I'm going to treat the turnover factor, the 20. I'm going to try to create some big plays like that. I'm coming after him to make him make decisions.
I think this is a question for Justin. I'd love to hear his answer on this. Would you rather walk out of this game with a loss and saying I should have pressured more, or you walk out of here with a loss and say I did too much pressure? I would probably say on the other side, for our defense and our personnel, you got to get after them.
Is Justin sitting over there? Come on, walk in here. There we go. Answer that. Answer Marlon there for a second.
Can I get a stool?
There you go. There you
All
go.
right. I'm
He
gonna
can't just do this standing up. He's going to give us a real answer here. All right, we got to be quick.
I'm going to pressure, and I'm going to have some looks that appear like pressure, and we're dropping out of it. So that way you're giving them a mixed bag.
Perfect. He's even good on the fly. All right.